Welcome, brave souls. If you love mystery, horror, and the unknown, make sure to subscribe and like this video. It keeps the darkness whispering more secrets. Now, turn off the lights, take a deep breath, and let's dive into today's chilling story.
I'm going to tell you a story that sounds like the beginning of a modern ghost tale, but I promise, it's 100% true. It's the story of how I became the last customer of a restaurant that, just hours later, ceased to exist. It all started on a pretty normal Tuesday evening. I was driving home, feeling that familiar pang of hunger, and I didn't feel like cooking. As I was cruising down a street I thought I knew like the back of my hand, I spotted something new, or at least new to me. It was a small, cozy-looking diner called the Corner Nook. Its sign was a gentle, warm yellow, and it had that classic old-school vibe that just pulls you in. I'm always on the hunt for hidden gems, so I thought, why not, and pulled over. The moment I stepped inside, the aroma hit me. It was this incredible mix of sizzling bacon, freshly baked bread, and something sweet, like cinnamon. The place was small, with maybe 10 tables, checkered tablecloths, and vintage posters on the walls. It felt like stepping back in time. Behind the counter was an older gentleman, probably in his late 70s, with a kind smile and eyes that seemed to hold a lifetime of stories. He was the owner, the cook, and the waiter, all rolled into one. His name was Arthur. "Evening, son," he greeted me, his voice warm and a little raspy. "Take a seat anywhere you like." I was the only customer, which felt a little strange for dinner time, but also kind of special. It was like having the whole place to myself. I chose a booth by the window and looked over the simple, one-page menu. It was packed with comfort food classics: meatloaf, chicken pot pie, burgers, and all-day breakfast. I asked Arthur for his recommendation. He chuckled and said, "They're all my children. I love them all equally. But the pot roast has been making people happy for over 40 years. 40 years. How had I never noticed this place?" The decision was made. I ordered the pot roast, and Arthur disappeared into the kitchen. The sounds that followed were music to my ears, the clanging of pots, the gentle sizzle, the hum of an old refrigerator. It was authentic. While I waited, I looked around. The photos on the wall told the restaurant's history. There was a black and white picture of a much younger Arthur, standing proudly in front of the same diner, the sign brand new. There were photos of smiling families, local sports teams celebrating wins, and couples on first dates. This wasn't just a restaurant, it was a cornerstone of the community. A living, breathing piece of local history. Arthur returned with my meal, and it was a masterpiece. The pot roast was so tender it practically melted on my fork. The gravy was rich and savory, the mashed potatoes were creamy, and the carrots were sweet. Every bite was filled with care and tradition. It tasted like a meal your grandmother would make, a taste of home. We chatted as I ate. He told me he opened the Corner Nook with his late wife Eleanor, right after they got married. He pointed to a faded photo of a smiling woman behind the counter. "That's my Ellie," he said, a bittersweet nostalgia in his eyes. He talked about the changing neighborhood, how the big chain restaurants had moved in, and how it was getting harder for a small place like his to keep up. But he never sounded bitter. He just sounded tired. He was proud of the legacy he had built, of the countless meals he had served. He said, "We've seen kids who came here for ice cream cones grow up and bring their own kids here for the same." As I finished the last delicious bite of my apple pie, a dessert he insisted I try, I felt a strange sense of melancholy. I paid the bill, which was incredibly reasonable, by the way, and left him a generous tip. He deserved every penny and more. "Thank you, Arthur," I said. "That was one of the best meals I've ever had. I'll be back soon with my friends." He smiled that same kind, gentle smile. "I'm glad you enjoyed it, son. Drive safe." Those were the last words he ever said to me. The very next morning, on my way to work, I drove past the same spot. My heart sank. The Corner Nook was gone. Not closed, not boarded up, but gone. In its place was a pile of rubble and demolition equipment. A banner on the fence announced the future site of a new, sterile-looking luxury condo development. I pulled over, completely stunned. It was surreal. Less than 12 hours ago, I was sitting in that booth, talking to Arthur, eating his pot roast. Now, it was just dust. I found a construction worker and asked him what happened. He told me the building had been sold months ago, and the demolition was scheduled for 5 a.m. that morning. The old owner had retired. It all clicked. Arthur knew. He knew that when he locked the door behind me, he was locking it for the last time. He knew that pot roast was the final one he would ever serve. He didn't say a word. He didn't want sympathy or a dramatic farewell. He just wanted to do what he loved one last time, with the same dignity and grace he'd shown for over 40 years. That meal wasn't just food. It was the final chapter of a lifetime's work. I wasn't just a customer. I was the unwitting audience for the quiet, humble finale of the Corner Nook. I was the last one. The experience taught me something profound. It reminded me to cherish the small, local places that give our communities character. They are run by people like Arthur, who pour their hearts and souls into their craft. They are not just businesses, they are legacies. And once they're gone forever. So the next time you see a small family-run shop or a diner that looks like it's been there forever, maybe step inside. You never know. You might just be enjoying a meal that's a piece of history, or you might be making a memory that will last a lifetime, long after the place itself is gone. Thank you so much for listening to my story today. It's one I'll never forget. If it moved you, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel for more stories. And share in the comments if you've ever had a similar experience with a place you loved. Until next time, take care.